Hey everyone, welcome to another explainer by Forge College. Today we're diving into mapping deployment workflows and checklists. We are basically taking those abstract concepts from our last lesson and, well, forging them into an absolutely airtight, foolproof engineering blueprint.
Look, we've all been there, right? Sweaty palms, heart racing, someone yells that terrifying question across the office during a totally chaotic release. That is exactly why we're here today. Deploying code shouldn't feel like a high-stakes coin toss. It should be boring, predictable, and heavily documented.
So here's our master plan to get there. We'll go from chaos to control, look at the 5 deployment stages, assign stage owners, walk through a real Solana release, build your deployment checklist, and wrap up with some next steps.
All right, let's jump straight into part 1. From chaos to control, we are replacing panic with a repeatable blueprint.
You know, understanding your architecture is fantastic, but if we want to prevent massive network disasters on Solana, we've got to translate those components into literal, step-by-step notes. We're taking abstract ideas and building a strict factory assembly line, completely eliminating that infamous, well, it worked on my machine excuse. Because we all know that one just doesn't fly.
Moving right along to part 2, the 5 deployment stages. Think of this as your Solana assembly line.
Every single release, no exceptions, has to pass through these 5 ordered, testable stages. You literally cannot skip these. You've got build to catch mismatched binaries, integration testing for logic bugs, staging to check the environment, deploy for orchestration, and finally, verify to confirm how it behaves live on the network.
And that brings us to a major rule. Each stage has to be atomic and pump out at least one verifiable artifact before you even think about moving to the next step. What's an artifact? It's tangible proof of success, like a signed binary with a SHA-256 checksum or a passing test report. Basically, no artifact, no progress. Once you have that artifact, it gets judged against a strict go, no-go criterion. This keeps things purely objective. There is no maybe or it kinda works, it's totally binary. Did it meet the threshold? Yes or no? Do we proceed or do we pull the plug right here?
Okay, part 3. Assigning stage owners. Basically figuring out exactly who is holding the clipboard.
To avoid utter chaos during handoffs, and honestly to know exactly who to talk to when things go south, we rigidly assign an explicit owner to every single stage. Continuous integration owns the build. CI and QA team up for integration tests. Then QA and your release engineer take over staging. The actual deploy phase, that's on the release engineer and site reliability. And finally, on-call and SRE own verify. Everyone knows their exact job, the whole shebang.
Let's see what this looks like in practice with part 4, a real Solana release. Check out how this unfolds chronologically. We start 24 hours out with a deterministic build. Skip ahead to 4 hours prior, and integration tests must return an exit code of 0. At the 1 hour mark, staging smoke transactions succeed. Then, the tension really builds. At minute 0, we deploy using Canary accounts to just test the waters. And finally, 30 minutes post-deploy, we verify 0 critical errors. It's like a beautifully choreographed, highly predictable dance.
Which leads us to part 5, building your deployment checklist, the grand finale.
As you go through more Forge College programs, you'll find the ultimate goal of all this theory is just to produce a simple, printable checklist. Using a basic JSON template and a quick Python script, you can generate these exact 5 items right into your CI pipeline or release ticket. It's clean, it's actionable, and it forces every single person to digitally sign off on their specific stage.
Now here's where it gets super interesting. We need to transform a vague feeling into a mathematically strict go, no-go threshold, one that actually triggers an automatic rollback if violated. Saying no critical errors is way too subjective, but saying an error rate of less than 0.5% and a median latency under 200 milliseconds, that is an undeniable, measurable fact. Honestly, this is how you sleep soundly at night instead of waking up in a cold sweat to blaring pager alarms.
Wrapping things up with part 6, next steps and resources. Getting ready for what comes next.
So, you've got the architectural blueprint now, but what about the raw materials required to actually run this factory? Hold on to that new checklist of yours, because in our next track explainer, we're going to calculate the exact CPU time, staging nodes, and compute costs needed to support these guardrails.
So, I'll leave you with this. Is your deployment checklist actually ready for the main net, or are you just relying on hope? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Be sure to head over to forge.college to master the rest of this module and check out all our other amazing Web3 resources. Until next time, happy deploying!